okay, he's doing bits now, and the fucking.
All right, does everybody have their Audacity up?
Although I did find that Japanese girl. Yeah, I got Audacity up. I'm
All right.
recording.
All right, I'm gonna do an intro.
All right.
Welcome everyone to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. Today we're
Are we gonna clap?
it'll be fun. For fuck's sake, I'm trying to do the intro. Why would you?
Okay.
We're talking about Deadpool 2, and we're gonna try about as hard as the writers did for this episode.
That made me laugh harder than anything in the fucking movie.
Actually, I feel like the biggest fault in this movie is that the direction is just kind of shitty.
Oh, the direction's not good.
I mean, it's got no like visual personality.
It's got no visual personality. They like to cut away. It's the same. It's literally like it's the shitty guy that does the John Wick movies. Like there's one really good guy and one really dumb guy, and it works in the John Wick movies because the really smart guy will like filter all the dumb guy stuff into something that your dumbest like butt rock cousin will love.
You know, this is directed by. I'm assuming you mean that dumb guy from John Wick, David Leitch.
Yeah. Okay. No, exactly. It's like the John Wick movies are masterpieces partially because they're stupid. Like it's a world where like assassins have like playground tag rules and they can like I was on timeout, you can't murder me, you know. And I see like producer brain here, but like I see we get those guys to do a Deadpool movie because that's like what the X-Men is a dumb world with a lot of stupid rules. Like that's what a comic book universe is.
I just see the logic of it coming from like they want to have a certain kind of stylized R-rated action that they can then slap jokes on top of.
But they fucked up because they got the dumb guy. They should have got the smart guy. They should have got the guy that did all the stunts in the Matrix. They got.
Would it surprise you to learn that he wasn't supposed to direct this movie? It was supposed to be the director from the first one, Tim Miller.
Tim Miller,
no relation to TJ Miller, who will not be seen after this movie because he got Me Too'd a couple months before it was released.
His Me Too was crazy because he has like a super villain backstory.
Yeah, he called it a bomb threat. We talked about it on the Deadpool.
Well, no, did you talk about the brain damage?
Yes, I believe
how he had brain surgery and it turned him into like a serial rapist. That's
we didn't get your take on it. You weren't on the show yet, so
that's what happens in like a comic book from 1947. Is like a jolly Canadian gets brain surgery and it turns him into like. It turns into like a rapist that like drags women into alleyways and does Jack the Ripper shit with him.
He calls in bomb threats to universities.
Yeah. And he would be called like the terrorizer from up north or whatever. And then like a guy who has the taxi driver. Like his superpower is having the taxi driver from Deadpool as his slave. he would defeat the terrorizer from up north in like a comic book from 1947.
So I'm gonna attempt a concise plot summary.
Yeah.
Okay,
Deadpool 2.
I'm gonna shut up.
Let's see how this goes.
Deadpool is just Deadpooling it up, and he's fucking his super hot girlfriend, and she decides that they want to have. She's so hot that they want to have kids.
My queen.
And then she dies, and Deadpool gets sad, but not that sad because he's still making all these jokes. He can't kill himself.
That's what I would do if I had Deadpool powers.
He ends up in jail with like like one of those like psycho might become a school shooter kids.
Yeah, little fat Kiwi kid
from the school where they torture mutant kids.
Yeah, but he's like an ethnic fat boy. That's what I love.
Yeah. So
he's like he looks like he should be playing FIFA. Like he looks like he should be like getting his mom into like debtor prison for buying like FIFA expansion packs or whatever.
So FIFA kid and Deadpool end up in mutant jail, and then Cable, who is a guy from the comics, does like a Kyle Reese Terminator thing. He's a cyborg. He comes from the apocalyptic future to kill the fat kid who shoots fire because he'll kill Cable's family in the future. And then the Juggernaut is also there, and everybody fights for a while.
Well, they got to get a team together.
Yeah, there's a getting the team together bit.
Oh yeah, Markiplier.
In order to rescue the little fat kid, because Deadpool forms a bond with this little fat kid because he's also been abused. But the movie doesn't have the courage to say he's molested. Just say he's being subject to like eugenic shit. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Concise.
Keyword. You were leaving out key details.
These aren't that key. This movie doesn't. The writers
I know, but they
try
are
that hard. The plot is so flimsy. Half the stuff in the movie happens because Deadpool sees Morena Baccarin's ghost and in a dream. And so he goes and like joins the X-Men for a little bit and then quits and does this and that. It's just a way to puppet him around.
To be fair, even though I thought this movie was just okay, it's a very okay movie. If I saw Morena Baccarin's ghost and she was like, "I need you to join a paramilitary organization," I'm signing up in 45 minutes.
Sure, but it's
like I'm doing
still
pizza
delivery
a
flimsy way to try and make this character seem like they have a character. Anyway, everybody fights each other for a bit. A bunch of guys die jumping out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
And then Cable and Deadpool join up, and Deadpool manages to stop this kid from turning evil by killing the man who's been abusing him. We kill so many people in this goddamn movie, including maybe Juggernaut.
To be fair,
but if this kid kills the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein mutant torture principal, he will turn evil, and we can't let that happen. Anyway, this movie tries to have pathos, constantly undercuts itself, kills all of its own jokes, burning them into the ground, and then at the very end, after the credits, Deadpool undoes all of it with time travel anyway. Who cares? It's like watching a Family Guy episode where they like pretend to have a plot. It's bad.
I do agree with most of the things that Stu has said here. However, when the movie's not actually, I like the movie when it's not being Family Guy. It's actually it's a lot better when it's not trying to run the jokes into the ground or do like John Wick stuff. In fact,
there's traces of a good movie in there.
Nicole is gonna get mad at me when I say this, but I would have liked the movie more if they focused more on his very soy relationship with Morena Baccarin.
No, I agree with you actually.
Oh wait, no, you I'm sorry, you were mad at me because I think that I like that she died because it's like first of all,
I think that's the thing that soured me on this movie when I saw it in the theater. I knew they were going to undo it. I did not have a good experience watching it.
But I think that's a fair criticism. I think this is probably the least annoying time travel movie I've seen on this podcast, and probably will be the least annoying time travel
That is
movie.
such a low bar to clear.
It's a low bar, but I can also see what you're getting at.
The time travel stuff is the least annoying thing in the movie.
Yeah, because it's not the time travel aspect is not the main mechanic of the movie.
Yeah, it's used for to get Cable here, which we'll get into Cable at some point.
You'll have to go off on Cable.
You're gonna see like on the waveform just like a little dip of everyone else getting quiet, and then four hours of me yelling at the microphone. But, I think that the Cable stuff was fine, and I think that the even though this is the reason why the Marvel format doesn't work is because the joke of the time travel scene at the end is completely killed by the fact that the credits have already rolled. Like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Because this movie wants to be so lighthearted and zany and meta and again like a Family Guy episode, but then it also wants you to care about the basic plot and characters and their pathos. And like you can square that circle. You can be out there and funny and a parody and have genuine emotional arc, but this movie really can't.
I agree.
It can't commit.
I agree. I think you could have cut all of the shit with the fake X-Force characters, and if they focused more on developing the characters that actually make up X-Force, this would be probably closer to a 3 for
Well,
3 out of 5
they don't
for
care
me.
about X-Force. Like, I never read any X-Force books, but they don't care about X-Force as a premise at all.
No, yeah, I know. I mean, like developing the characters that actually matter, because those characters don't matter. Like fucking Markiplier and
I was thinking the same thing. He looks like Marky
the guy that got his balls touched that was in Reno 911. All those guys are meant to die, and it's like that's fine. It's the same reason why James Gunn cast Pete Davidson in the Suicide Squad movie, because it's funny to see Pete Davidson die, but it's like.
I mean, it is.
You're wasting a lot of precious time that you could be developing these characters.
The auditioning superheroes for the gang is a bit I've seen many times before. Like it was novel when
so
Mystery Men did it 25 years ago.
It's like why didn't we get another scene of the lesbians in this movie, or the lesbian
because
couple,
she's there just her Asian girlfriend's just there to wave and be like, "Hi, Wade," and then she just throws a chain and doesn't do anything.
I liked the reveal. That was one of the things that got me, was I liked the reveal that she is Mortal Kombat Raiden at the end, because it's fun.
It's like but 1 second.
Again, that's the thing, is they should have built it up more. They should have had more of her character.
There's no. Well, that's the thing. There's no, because so much of this movie is just riffing. It's not that different from the Marvel movies, where it has that feeling of just the actors on set riffing, knowing that they're in a movie.
It feels like less riffing, but I don't know if that's just because they like actually like know when to end a scene. You know?
But like it's still like a lot of the dialogue feels like, and a lot of it is like so. In one of the like only moments in the movie that made me like actually like make an audible noise of joy or amusement was when, and it is just a repeat of the bit they did in the first movie where he's regrowing a baby hand. He's regrowing little baby legs, and then he uncrosses his legs and does a baby he uncrosses little baby legs and does a Basic Instinct reference, and he has a little, at least in the version I saw, a little baby dick, and that
I did not see the
baby dick made me laugh.
But then he has to get up and dust off my TV around that time. I swear to God, I did not see the baby dick, even though I watched, I think, the uncut version.
Nicole has a dusty television confirmed.
But then he has to immediately say the words Basic Instinct and
Basic Instinct,
and that's like this whole movie is everything has to be really obvious and running on all the needle drops, even when they're like, oh, it's like an ironic needle drop. It's killing guys to Dolly Parton 9 to 5.
Oh God, the needle drops in this movie were awful.
It just feels so obvious.
So cool. Like seeing a bitch like viciously murder everyone to Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. I am so with that on paper, except it is it is all done in like bad CG with CGI blood splatter and like fake CGI limbs, and then like the movie, then Ryan Reynolds' voiceover has the audacity to point out, see, we put that guy on, that guy's actually on fire. See that? Isn't that cool? And it's like, bitch, you can't even use like buckets of blood for your shit. It's such a step down visually from everything in that first one.
I get why they don't do CGI squibs. I get why because the same thing happens in the second John Wick film. Where it has CGI squibs, and I still love it's one of my favorite.
That's why I did not like John Wick 2.
I like John Wick
real
2.
squibs, but I can let those nitpicks go if there's other stuff for me to grab onto and like.
There's nothing.
Or if it's just done better. Like there's better ways to do CGI squibs too, and composite them better so you don't notice as much. But
I think that scene sort of, again, I don't really like
the act, like the choreography for the fights is all right, but the actual execution is just lacks.
Yeah, I think that
it lacks swag. It lacks enough style. Even something where like the Juggernaut rips Deadpool in half, which like the movie it would need more like abusing the body horror stuff. But the way he rips him in half is just a little too like itchy and scratchy. Like I need like some ripping. I need like some tearing, some bit of spine dangling out. Like I needed to lean into it. I need to feel a little Hellraiser-y.
I didn't mind it, but I understand your criticism. There is just a little bit too much like we have to sell we can't make the kids that snuck into this movie throw up.
Yeah,
And
and
Fuck
that,
them kids. Fuck
and
them
that
kids.
and that goes with the characterization too. Like, I think for this movie and the first one to work, Deadpool needs to be like a worse person. Kind of everybody needs to be a worse person.
I like his soy relationship. I understand. It would be a lot better if they didn't reference the other stuff, though, or at least was like more subtle with the references to the fact that they're adapting the 90s. I mean, they flat out make like a fucking like Linkara tier like Rob Liefeld can't draw feet jokes.
They do. They make the most obvious Rob Liefeld
and it's like,
joke.
And there is a funnier Rob Liefeld dig in the movie where Cable has a gun that doesn't make any
he does have the
sense.
ridiculous stupid gun with 8 barrels, and
it has 8 barrels and like 4 flashlights, and that's a good bit because they never comment on it. It's just something that it's like, oh, this guy trying to kill me like put a 50 cal barrel onto like an AR-15 or whatever.
Yeah, he just has a stupid gun, and and
so
many things in this
so
movie
funny when they cut to it several times where he has like a radio dial on a gun that he turns up to 11, and they never say, "Ha, you turned it up to 11" or whatever. And that's one of the funniest jokes in the film because it's just
because they're not constantly pointing it out for stupid people.
Yeah, because Deadpool doesn't pop into frame and go.
Like, that's a Spinal Tap reference.
Yeah, he doesn't say something about freeform jazz odysseys or whatever. And that's the thing.
It's
like most of the jokes in the movie don't get to do that. And I think part of it is just, that's just the type of movie it is. That's the studio wanting to make sure, like, even a movie that's supposed to be the edgy R-rated parody superhero movie can't be too edgy or anything.
The Fox movies are always so weird. Like, on paper, they make decisions that should work, and then it's like they just execute them in the dumbest way possible. But I'm gonna let Nicole cook.
Can I elaborate on why that is? It's because as I think we were recording, but yeah, this was originally supposed to be directed by the guy who did the first one, Tim Miller, but he left over quote unquote creative differences with Reynolds, and it basically came down to like the tone of it. Miller wanted to do it more like stylized, whereas Ryan Reynolds, who really takes a step up in creative control here because he renegotiated his contract to have control over like the casting and a lot of like creative decisions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds wanted to problems with this movie.
Ryan Reynolds wanted to double down on like the R-rated raunchy comedy.
Well, the raunchy, but it's raunchy it's like a Van Wilder movie. Like, it's raunchy, but it's not.
You saying that he had more creative control over this explains
conceptually
everything to me, because it's funny. This movie is funny in the way that Ryan Reynolds would find something funny, and it's like sometimes that does work, like the subtle dig at Liefeld, but then it's like he has to not only has to explain everything, but it's like it also has to be a little bit sappy. It has to give. I guess
like
a
that
scene
Deadpool
where he like
can't
goes
be a bad
to
enough guy.
And I do actually like this interpretation of Deadpool as like a nicer person, mostly just because I like when he's being a soy bacon guy to his wife. I think that's like the only time that this kind of thing works is when you have like the dichotomy of like this like domineering stripper and then like a guy who has the same kind of interests as Joss Whedon. But
funny you mentioned that because Morena Baccarin's like her breakthrough role was on Firefly.
She's the sex wizard in Firefly. She's like the pussy wizard. From like the planet of the geishas or whatever.
Like, I'm sorry to harp so much on like how much, because I saw this in the theaters when I came out, and as soon as she gets killed 10 minutes in, it really just left the worst taste in my mouth. And then the opening credits have the audacity to lampshade it as like, oh, did they just kill her? Written by what the shit?
And that's the thing. They're playing the sad music. You for a minute you think they actually want you to feel bad, but then the credits are just this joke about, oh no, they went there.
It's not even a joke about women in refrigerators either. They had none of the writers even knew that was a thing.
That's a term from TV tropes, which means
no, it's not. It's actually not a term from.
That. I hate that.
It's not a term
It's from a genuinely good. I'm defending.
Don't mansplain at me.
I'm defending you. I'm man defending you. It's from an essay by comic book writer Gail Simone, who I've met her multiple times. She's a lovely woman. It's a very good essay. She's a great writer. I don't know if this actually. I think that that was supposed to be intentional, though. I mean, maybe I'm giving this movie too much credit.
They said it wasn't. I just did the research.
That's fascinating.
Can I read the statement?
Woman in refrigerators joke.
Can I read what they said? So they said, like, they told Volt, or who was it? One of the Rhett Reese. How are you gonna fucking he wrote the first one, but how's your name just gonna be Rhett Reese?
That's like that's a 1950s sci-fi name.
He told Vulture, or this was from Vulture, when asked whether they worried about being criticized for fridging Cable's family and Vanessa, Reese tells Vulture, "I would say no, we didn't even think about it. And that was maybe our mistake, not to think about it. But it didn't really even occur to us. Indeed, they weren't aware of this genre of criticism." Quote, "We didn't know what fridging was," Reese says. "In the very first draft of the script, Vanessa didn't die," Reese continues. "She ended up breaking up with Deadpool and he was trying to earn her back. Then I think at some point somebody just said, Deadpool kind of works best when he's had everything taken away from him, when he suffers. So the thought was maybe we can really engender greater suffering for him by having his line of work be the thing that cost Vanessa her life. We always had
that is so funny because that's like the textbook. They are beating the textbook example of That's so fun. We
always had it in our back pocket that we could always bring Vanessa back if necessary, says Reese. So we ran with that.
Which, I mean, they do by the end of the credits. She's not dead anymore.
That's the funniest.
It doesn't count.
That is the funniest thing because
these guys are too dumb to know what they did.
The thesis of the woman in refrigerators thing is that they kill the women specifically to give the male character development, and they're just like, hell yeah, we did that. That's almost beautiful in a way where it's like, dude, I never read this. I don't know how to read this woman shit, dude.
I mean, killing a spouse or partner or a kid or a dog is just easy pathos. But I mean, this whole movie feels so.
It's cheap.
I know it's not a first draft, but it feels so first draft. Like the jokes, everything feels like the first idea they had.
Yeah,
it probably wasn't, but it feels like
I'm so sad because there's a bunch of jokes that I found funny the first time I heard it, and then by the fourth time I wanted to put a gun in my mouth. It literally, the cable being racist was a fucking great bit.
Oh yeah,
literally only the first time, and then as he's dying, he's like trying to do like the MLK speech. I was like, that's funny, but they've already done it 3 times during this fight, so it's not as fun. Like,
it's just, again, everything, too run into the ground, too obvious. It's too.
Yeah, this movie somehow breaks the rule of threes joke.
Like the thing about dubstep, where he's like,
dude, the dubstep joke was awful.
Who was listening to dubstep in 2018? For real?
Well, I think that's supposed to be what's funny about it in theory. Is the idea where it's like dead, dubstep's dead, and then maybe it comes back.
That's like if they were doing like an LMFAO joke or something, like a 308.
I think that Ryan Reynolds might be smarter than the writers, because at this point I'm like, well, all the worst jokes in the movie, like, and all the worst shit in the movie that I like came from the script, and it's like I've almost completely flipped where it's like the script people were the people that wanted to kill off Ryan Reynolds, and I bet, or not Ryan Reynolds, but Miranda Baccarin, and he's the one that totally sells it as a joke from the beginning.
Well, that's the frustrating thing with this movie is it spends enough time and energy on its characterization and its attempts at like giving you an emotional arc, and then completely undercuts it at the same time. It doesn't marry the comedic tone with the pathos. It undercuts one with the other, which makes me wonder, okay, why bother? Why even bother? Why not just from the beginning. Like, why not make this a complete farce? Go full like Mel Brooks with it, or something tonally.
Actually, I would like these movies so much more if they did make more X-Men jokes. That's the real tragedy, is they probably wanted to do more X-Men jokes, but it's like Fox is like, okay, nobody knows who these characters are. It's like you can't have. First of all, you can't use any famous characters because you're the evil rated R comedy for evil bad people, and those are the movies that we sell to children. You can't have Professor X show up in this movie because
they do show up for like 2 frames because
in a really
Dark
bad
Phoenix, it was green screen
shot, like
because Dark Phoenix was filming in around like British Columbia at the same time, and they
they shoot all those X-Men movies mostly in Vancouver. Like when in X-Men 3, when Magneto lifts the Golden Gate Bridge, is actually the Lionsgate Bridge in Vancouver.
Did you see any places you peed in this movie?
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, all over the place. Like, I mean, it's just,
I love
it's just the Georgia Viaduct again.
I love that you recognized it because it's like where you're from, and then I recognized it because it's where they film all the CW dog shit that I watch.
I mean, this
that I poison my body
like a
every
CW
day.
show. Like the digital compositing, especially, is atrocious.
I think
I don't know if
this
it's
is
that bad.
I will complain. Actually, what I do want to complain about this movie is that the color grading.
Oh god,
it just has no
the color grading has
nothing
this like
pops. Everything's muted, and
that's the great thing about John Wick is even though it's doing one of the most tired aesthetics in the world, which is like bespoke guy shit, it does have enough of a decent eye for just shit that goes hard that it makes you forget that this is like pushing up against an epic bacon movie. I should watch John Wick 3 again. Have you guys seen John Wick 3 yet?
Yeah. I have not seen the last one
3 or John Wick 4.
Oh my god, dude, John Wick, the new John Wick is fucking crazy.
No, I like John Wick. I enjoy those movies. I should give them all a big rewatch.
I think that if you don't, I don't think I've ever met anyone that doesn't like the John Wick movies. I've talked to like my aging hippie father, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, I love the John Wick movies." I've talked to Emily's conservative relatives. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go watch John Wick," and they're like, "Oh fuck, dude, you got a copy of that?" Like, I'm
together.
yeah.
But
John Wick is the great equalizer.
This isn't John Wick; it's Deadpool 2.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
But there is the John Wick connection is there.
I know, but
this is
I'm being on tangent. We are
on tangent.
So on that note, I think what's the deal with Cable? What's the deal with Cable? He's from the future. He's a cyborg. What's going on there?
So I think every single character in this, except for the X-Men characters, so Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
That's not her name.
I pronounced it like they did in the movie. I don't know who Yukio is supposed to be.
She is an X-Men. She is in comic.
I figured
she is just like your Asian girlfriend, essentially, is what her.
She's one of
Wait, hold on. I thought that was.
She was also in the Wolverine, played by a different actress. Same character.
I just realized who she is. She is literally she is a Frank Miller Asian waifu creation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just clicked on the Wikipedia page and it's the most like Frank Miller drawing of all time. I gotta read those Wolverine Frank Miller comics.
Oh, because he was speaking of Yukio. Actually, I want to bring this up because apparently GLAAD released a statement on the fact that she's Negasonic's girlfriend, and they said
Can you say that a little bit faster?
They said the Negasonic and Yukio storyline is a milestone. Miguel, do not let go. Tell you to
Nicole, there's a politically correct way to say that, and it's Shadow the Hedgehog.
All right,
I just got the Shadow the Hedgehog joke.
Shadow the Hedgehog and Yukio's storyline is a milestone in a genre that too often renders LGBTQ people invisible and should send a message to other studios to follow the example of inclusive and smart storytelling. Yes, this is smart storytelling.
There's just
She has
some
nothing in the entire
some
movie except waves.
bisexual like zoomers. So what? Like I see those on the street.
I'm gonna let them cook because this is the only time a woman with either one of those haircuts has been in any kind of superhero show and not been the most annoying character on the planet. That is fantastic representation.
That is true.
You know
Yeah, that
what?
is a real achievement.
Like she's shows up and she's not like, hey, I just got done killing Steven Universe in the bathroom. I'm like, fuck yes,
you know what? That
dude.
is true. Teenage Warhead kind of she's cool. Not as cool as Domino.
To get back on topic though, every single character in this that is not an X-Men is a Rob Liefeld creation. If you don't know who Rob Liefeld is, he was a meme like when millennials
he drew
were
the
getting
Captain
into
America.
comics. He drew the Captain America drawing.
He draws guns with 8 barrels and guys with outrageous muscles and 800 pouches. He won't draw feet.
He's a bit of a meme artist because he's very hyper stylized in a way that, pardon me, the people online today don't like. I think he's fine. I've read a lot. Well, I've seen a lot worse art in comics. I've seen a lot better. He's good in some stuff. Most of the time, he's just kind of mid to like background radiation.
He's really Todd McFarlane's friend when they were the two biggest guys in comics in the 90s.
Exactly. I think the reason why he's so hated is because he was so vocal. Like the 90s were the only time when you could like go on the news for being a comic guy. And he decided to run with it and do a bunch of like MTV crib shit where he would like act like a wigger on television and do a bunch of stupid shit. He's got a Levi's jeans commercial. He's in a Pizza Hut ad. Like he's in a lot of he's in the public consciousness. So I get why he's sort of overhated and over talked about because it's sort of the same thing with people like Stan Lee or Frank Miller.
He was over hyped and too much of like a celebrity for what he actually did and could do.
Exactly. And I've heard that he's a shitty businessman and that he's ripped a bunch of people off. Funny enough, though,
not much of a writer either. I've read some of his image stuff.
Was big friends with Alan Moore because he was one of all those guys grew up reading Watchmen, so they're like, you are the coolest guy on the planet to me. So he actually ended up getting Alan Moore a job at Image for a while in the 90s. And then I think he, like, when the money got fucked up, they kind of stopped being friends because he was like, you're no different than DC or Marvel. But anyways, when he before all this like Image shit,
the kind of like the exact same type of comic book guy as Zack Snyder is, or close in that bit. Same ballpark.
They're both midwits that like verge on being a midwit genius, but they're not like they're not quite at like the George Lucas level of midwit genius. they're sort of like a couple tiers down, so their flow is all out of whack. You know, they're channeling too much dumb guy, not enough smart guy. But
well, it's the kind of guy that like loves Batman but wears his hat backwards.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyways, during the 90s, before he left Marvel, Liefeld rose to prominence drawing as well as sometimes doing scripting for X-Force, which spun out of the New Mutants, which spun out of the X-Men, which spun out of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby having fucking needing to make ends meet. Anyways, in the storyline of the New Mutants, Professor X-Stone gets his house blown up by I have no idea because I've never read the comic, and the New Mutants
it's a bad guy.
Yeah, bad guy. New Mutants get scattered to the four winds. A couple of them stick around and get trained by a weird jacked guy with a robot arm named Cable. That was basically his entire backstory for a couple years because Liefeld didn't really know what to do with Cable. He drew him.
That's basic Cable before he gets developed
Yes.
into premium Cable.
Yes. You make that joke, but literally yes, because Liefeld would just draw a guy and be like, yeah, this looks cool, I'm gonna put him in my comic, and then like 5 years later someone will be like, what's this guy's deal? Like, he didn't even have like a power set when he first drew him. Or like a name. It was just like, fuck it, we'll just do this. Eventually though, he gets the most convoluted backstory in all of comics. So in the 80s, Jean Grey was missing, presumed dead, after she done got the Phoenix Force in her and sacrificed herself on the moon during a war games because she was wanted for questioning and death of a sentient species. And then
comics are so dumb.
they rock, dude. And then the original 5 X-Men were like, fuck this, we're basically white passing. So they decided to create a new group called X Factor, which was basically like doing like stealth shit, but for being a mutant. So they would go on TV and they'd be like, hey, we're a bunch of white guys that hate mutants. You should call us. We'll get the mutants out. We'll rehabilitate. We'll send them off to fucking mutant camp or whatever. And in reality, they were actually freeing mutants from dangerous situations, but they would pretend to be regular guys that didn't have any. That just had like weird abilities that they got in a radiation accident or something.
That's a thing that seems to happen in comics that's always hard to understand, is like the guys that are pretending to be other guys, but actually doing a different thing than the thing they say they're doing.
It rocks.
As like a premise.
It rocks. The original Thunderbolts was a bunch of Captain America villains pretending to be good guys. Specifically to compete with the Suicide Squad, actually, which was had a really popular comic at the time. But during his X Factor time, Cyclops, everyone's favorite guy that shoots concussive force out of his eyes, met a new bitch. Yeah, he met a new bitch named Madeline Pryor. And he was like, hey, you look exactly like my dead ex-wife. Can I fuck you and have kids with you to get over her? And she's like, yeah, sure. She is then revealed to be a clone of his dead ex-wife.
Oh my god!
Naturally, as you do.
Yeah. Created by a villain known as Mr. Sinister, who straight up his entire villain he rocks.
That's not his name.
His name is Mr. Sinister. His original backstory was
related to Mr. Skin.
Hear me out. His entire backstory was going to originally be that he was a kid's drawing of a bad guy come to life. However, they changed his backstory so that he is an immortal British eugenicist who really wants to watch X-Men fuck because he thinks that they'll produce like the ultimate life form.
Oh.
And specifically his favorite pairing is he's like, dude, if I could just get Jean Grey and Cyclops to fuck, it'll produce the ultimate life form. But unfortunately, Jean Grey's DNA must be like have like the fucking like sickle cell marker, but for BPD.
Yeah.
Because she goes insane after the birth of her child, Nathan. And
it's postpartum, baby.
Becomes an evil telepath that goes by the name of Goblin Queen, and she takes over New York. And so they're like, all right, fucking obviously it's too dangerous to be public and have families and stuff. So they send Nathan gets sent into the future. Also, by this time they've found Jean Grey. She's alive again, and her and Cyclops got back together. And the clone just sort of gets like shuffled off into the background for a couple years. Anyways, their son is now in the future, being raised by a cult that worships mutants as gods. Specifically, they worship, I believe, Jean Grey and Cyclops are their like Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And also, at some point, Cyclops' soul goes off into the future, and he like he's like the guy that delivers the baby to the mutant church, and this is the future for mutants, which means that they are getting the Holocaust times 10 billion happen to them every single day.
Yeah.
Because mutants live in hell constantly. And in the future, in the future, Nathan Summers is just chilling, being a baby. And an immortal Egyptian man that has beef with the X-Men gives him robot AIDS.
Oh,
because he's like fuck this baby, dog. I'm gonna
Oh, what's the immortal Egyptian guy called again?
It's Apocalypse. Yeah, it's Apocalypse.
Oh.
So he was like I'm gonna do a silly one, you know, and he gives the baby AIDS. And the mutant church is like, fuck, dude, we're gonna kill this baby, but he's supposed to like grow up to be like the Messiah or whatever. So they clone him. And they encase the baby in a special like don't get robot AIDS armor. So however, it turns out that baby Cable is a telepath, and specifically a telekinetic telepath. So he's able to contain the robot AIDS to a small portion of his body, which is why he has a robot arm, because it's been transformed into a robot arm by the robotic AIDS virus. At some point in the future,
are you joking that this is?
I'm not joking.
Is this like actually
I'm not
AIDS,
joking.
though?
This is real. It's a metaphor for AIDS. It's called the techno-organic virus. Yeah, like no, it's straight up a metaphor for AIDS. I'm not joking.
Okay.
There's multiple AIDS metaphors in the X-Men comics, especially in the 90s. There's like 3 of them.
Why did they put that? They should have put that in Deadpool too.
In the future of the future, Cyclops' brother with the anti-AIDS armor has been turned into a bad guy by Apocalypse because he was like, I'm not done trolling. You know, he's like, I got one more.
Yeah.
And the two have been Cable and the baby, the anti-AIDS armor baby named Strife, have been going at it for a long time. They're both. His name is Strife. Yes. That's Strife.
Oh, like Cloud
no, his
Strife.
Name is like Cloud Strife, except it has a Y because it's the 90s and he's fucking sick, dude. He's got a bunch of spikes on his armor now because he's evil. And so then they both get time machines and they're like, fine, let's go back in time and duke it out. And that's why Cable leads the X-Men, and that's why he's older than his dad. However,
Wait, he
in
becomes
recent
leader
comics,
of the X-Men?
Yeah, he briefly becomes X-Force, which supplants the X-Men. Okay. Yeah, which supplants the X-Men because they've all been blown up. You know, the house blew up. Everyone got sad and dipped. Like it was
it was permanently blown up and X-Force replaced.
It was permanently blown up, and actually they were living in the bombed out ruins of it, like in a secret bunker underneath. And it was bombed out for a good like 3 years in comics, which is a very long time. Recently, in the future of today, of actually 3 years ago, they actually introduced a new Cable who's like a Zoomer, and
Lord,
because Cable dies. He's been time traveling around so long, and he gets murked. And a new Zoomer Cable shows up, and he's like, I'm the new Cable, and he's got a very funny haircut. Look up young Cable.
Oh wait, I'll do that.
He also has the powers of Rom the Space Knight because comics are very stupid. And
who the fuck is Rom the Space Knight? Oh, he's literally got a Buster sword.
That's the sword of Rom
that is
the Space
a dumbass
Knight.
haircut. Is it the one where it's just like it's like a white supremacist? It's kind of like
he's got the Macklemore cut.
Shades up to his past his temple.
He's also fucking, because X-Men comics rock. He's fucking a clone of his mom's side hoe, or his dad's side hoe.
Oh Jesus Christ!
But not the son of it. Jesus Christ, man! How do you keep up? How do you keep track of all that shit?
Because I'm talking about good comics.
Are these good comics?
Actually, I haven't read X-Force. The Zoomer Cable comic is unironically great because it's filtering the dumbness that is Cable through like an impressionable like 17-year-old, and so it makes it funny because it's like what if a 17-year-old was like the Terminator in Terminator 2, and that's Cable.
Yeah.
That's Cable. And in this movie, he's
Cool.
Josh Brolin.
And in this movie, he's Josh Brolin, and he's not even. They don't even really say if he's a mutant.
And there's not a single Thanos joke.
Oh, they don't want to piss off Marvel since they're on the verge of getting annexed, probably.
There is a Thanos joke.
Where?
There is a Thanos joke when they fight when they fight over Rusty, he grabs him and starts like lifting Deadpool up off the ground with the robot arm, and he's like, "Chill out, Thanos."
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, I must have missed that.
That's why I watch with subtitles on. You gotta stay woke.
yeah,
Yeah, I
something to
didn't.
that.
Well, there were I don't know, there were too many to choose from, and I didn't really care to read at all. But if I can say, a lot of this reminded me, like I was kind of oddly reminded of Suicide Squad, just in the sense of like, I don't like the movie that surrounds it, but like Zazie Beetz is like very fun to watch.
I feel like every movie we watch, you always have one of these.
Nicole said,
the hot girl you like.
Nicole said, release the Ayer cut. Her armpits are so out in this movie. There's like multiple
she didn't
shots.
shave, apparently. She didn't shave her armpits, which, you know what, good for her. Braver woman than I am.
I support it. I was just like, whoa, dude,
Yeah.
this is more intimate than anything that Tarantino has ever done.
No, she carries the back half of that movie. Like it like as
I wish she had more development though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I do as well.
She does. She's
the most interesting thing.
It is funny to do a what is luck superpower.
Yeah, but if she had more development, this wouldn't be written and produced and probably half directed by Ryan Reynolds for Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds' career.
I mean, I like the function of her, powers had, you know, like, because it's just like, she's just fucking lucky. She or manipulates luck. I don't know, but it reminded me of kind of like a JoJo's fight, just seeing like how her power would influence sort of the result.
I do wish it was more.
Yeah, they could do more with it.
Because
what's there, I enjoy. I wish it was more.
Are just JoJo's, like
yeah. When it's and the rest of the movie never leans into that in a way that's nearly as satisfying.
There's actually There's another X-Men that has luck powers by the name of Shatterstar.
No, Shatterstar was in this.
Shatterstar was in this. Longshot is his name, and he has a mullet because he was created in the late 80s. And also only has like 3 fingers for some reason because he's like half bird. And I think is like bisexual now or something. And has really stupid throwing. Yeah, he only has 3 fingers on each hand.
It's so funny that there's like the X-Men maybe has like pound for pound the most like glup shitto characters of any.
Hey, dude, it's more than Star Wars. It is like
their hands on
there's so many fucking X-Men characters. It's because they single-handedly saved Marvel from bankruptcy. Like. There were so many X-Men books that were selling well in the 80s and 90s that like even Spider-Man was kind of like a close second to it.
Yeah, it's probably easy to forget now, like, you know, especially with that cartoon taking off. Like the X-Men were huge at one point, like were the biggest thing, and that's why they got a movie before Spider-Man did. Straight
up the reason why so Marvel was bought out by their own toy company at one point. In the 90s, and specifically it was the toy company that had the rights to X-Men and Spider-Man, and it was I think it happened right after the TV show dropped, the cartoon, because there was so many like X-Men toys being sold that they were just like, oh, we'll buy the company, we'll buy Marvel. And then we'll have the rights to any future toy rights from any characters. And then we'll also just take on their debt because they're like a small publishing company and we're a toy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, that was following the 80s model of like G.I. Joe and He-Man and shit.
Longshot had his own mini series. What the fuck, dude? And it's 6 issues long, and it's actually like it's by a creative team that I like. Like that's how powerful the X-Men used to be.
Can I segue this conversation into?
One second. What about an X-Man named Backshot?
What would he
do?
I mean, the best at backshots, but it's definitely some like sexual Tyrannosaurus shit.
Actually, he like nuts like a Barrett 50 cal. He can like, as long as he's got time to rev himself up, he can like blast a hole through a tank.
There are a couple X-Men with like
unmatched.
And a couple comic book characters with just like good at fucking power. Like that's who Harry Styles is in the Eternals.
That little fucking non-twink.
Wasn't there a guy like his name is Eros or something? His whole thing is he just makes people horny.
He makes people horny. And there's a She-Hulk comic where he has to like they have to like go to the Supreme Court to prove that it's not rape every time he has sex.
Oh my god, okay.
What?
Yeah.
Because he's like a walking aphrodisiac.
Why are
they have to prove that he's like not a like mind, because they eventually are able to like scientifically prove that he like isn't like coercing people with his mind. But it's like a whole back and forth trial. I'll have to.
Comics are so stupid, but miles more interesting and cooler than these movies can ever be.
You would never be allowed to be like that weird or follow or take a concept like that to its logical conclusion in a big budget movie, and that's why none of these movies are like generally ever that good. Like that's why, like a niche TV show can maybe do this kind of thing right, but a big budget movie can never be weird enough or dark enough or mean enough. It's just everything, all the edges have to be sounded off to keep the Joes and Dianes in the audience from getting scared and leaving. At least that's the theory. I think people would show up for weirder, more fucked up shit. Maybe
people love weirder, more fucked up shit.
That's the thing. Like, as much as I think we all collectively don't like this movie, like Deadpool 3 isn't. I mean, it's been interrupted by strikes, but it's in the middle of production, and that's going to be fully enveloped into the MCU. So, in a way, this might be like the last time. Like, it's going to get more sanded off inevitably.
Deadpool 3 is going to have. It's going to like they're going to be normal people committing suicide in that movie, like because it's not a comedy. It's like it's a meta comedy in the same way that like I don't know, like fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once is.
I still haven't seen that.
I haven't either. I don't know.
I liked it. I think you would find it annoying though. I think both of you would.
I have no idea. I actually just couldn't think of like a multiverse movie that's like trying to be interesting, because its whole thing is like they're gonna go through the multiverse and like fix all the bad Marvel. It's literally just a
wait. Is that that's the fucking plot?
Yeah, it's like it's a multiverse shit. It's just an extended riff of the joke at the end, basically.
Yeah, he's
it's
like,
like
yeah,
so it's like an end game when they go back and fix Thor 2.
Yeah, it's
that sucks.
It's their way. Yeah, it's their way of because they can't.
We're sorry
and that's
for not
weird
making
thing
a better movie. They're just doing the end credits, the mid credit scene of this.
Well,
movie.
no, it's because they have this. Here's this problem they have with the X-Men from like a business perspective. It's on one hand, there's problems with those movies, things we could do better, closer to the comics, whatever. But on the other hand, everybody loves Patrick Stewart, everybody loves Hugh Jackman, everyone loves Ian McKellen. We can't. We can't just they can't just start again. They can't just do a totally new take on the X-Men. So they need to try and have their cake and eat it too, and keep the stuff people like from the Fox X-Men movies somehow.
That's what they're doing with Deadpool 3. I believe is an adaptation. This is according to 4chan leaks, so again, take this with a grain of salt. But
the trusted, reliable source.
Some of it has been proven right after the fact.
Yeah,
because
other leaks
said,
like this have been ended up totally on the
all
money.
right.
So
okay. All right.
I admittedly, I've heard. There's corroborating evidence that because that.
There was that set shot of like the 20th Century Fox logo.
There's
like
that.
And yeah,
They
you're probably right.
They announced Ian McKellen and
Ian McKellen's so old now.
Fuck, what is her name? Not Jennifer Lopez. Who the fuck was Ben Affleck married to before?
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, Elektra's gonna be in
coming back. Yeah, and that was in the
Elektra from the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah, she's
and
Ben
Affleck is coming back, and both of those were in the leak where the film involves Deadpool using Cable's time machine and accidentally and trying to fix all of the Fox Marvel movies, and then he gets captured by the Time Variance Authority from the Loki television show, and they send him along with a bunch of reject characters to this dead Earth, and then the Scarlet Witch uses her reality warping powers.
Oh, they're putting Scarlet Witch in there too.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is gonna be in there to make a House of M universe, and then the end of the film is Deadpool, Hugh Jackman, and Ian McKellen ending up in the regular Marvel universe.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Good Lord! See, this
Miguel, insert some gunshots there, please.
Isn't getting this obscenely convoluted and self-referential what caused comics to lose their audiences?
Yeah.
I mean, more of what Marvel is doing with this shit that's really exactly like comics is just event fatigue and crossover fatigue. It's there's no variety in the story. Everything, it's if you're a Spider-Man movie, now Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are summoning all the other Spider-Men from across the multiverse. If you're Doctor Strange, it's
well, they hit on that fucking multiverse shit, and they're like, oh my god, we can just have whatever type of character is most marketable at any moment, and we can put them all in a movie and please everyone and try out which ones will spin off, and they hit on that gimmick, and they're already running it into the ground. It's been 2 years.
It's the same problem as the comics, where it's everything has to be an event with huge cosmic proportions, because that's when people think something important has happened, they'll buy the comics. But that's not if I take a look at my 100 favorite comics, most of them are fairly small scale. It's not holy fuck, the entire universe is gonna get ripped to death by a million space Hitlers.
Yeah, none of that shit is ever any of all the comics I've read that are the most acclaimed comics. It's almost never big crossover event stuff.
Exactly, and so by making every single movie, you saw it with Spider-Man, where it's now people are already getting tired of a multiverse Spider-Man shit, and they're just please, can we have him fight the Kingpin? Can we have him fight the Secret Six or something? It's we don't. They don't want, portals and fucking time travel.
And it's also here's the big problem, and it's a big problem with anytime you introduce these things in a story, time travel, multiverses, blah blah blah. It's
exactly.
What does the story mean anymore when it's there's an infinite universes where everything plays out slightly differently. There's anybody can die and be brought back or be retconned at any given moment. The story can be changed and rewritten, so nothing means anything or has any emotional impact or stakes anymore.
And so
anybody who dies, they could just pop in from another universe. They could turn out to be a clone. Who fucking cares? Nothing matters.
Yeah, and they really fucked themselves, because it doesn't even seem like they want this to be the status quo, but they want it to be the status quo right now, which is exactly when it's reaching the saturation point. I actually think that if all these movies came out after like 5 years later than they would, they probably would be received more better than they actually are, because people are just so sick of this like huge cosmic stake shit, and it's like
I mean, yeah,
the
it's one thing
the
to spend a decade building up to that, but
yeah,
it's another when it's just constant. It just wears thin really fast.
you're seeing like diminishing returns across the entire MCU because they built themselves too hard on this is going to be the cosmic, phase. So it's like
Well, even like the cosmic stuff
Ant-Man,
doesn't have to be that scale either. You can have a
yeah,
psychedelic cosmic story that isn't about saving the whole multiverse.
exactly. But they it's like Ant-Man looks like Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're both about the whole multiverse, and fucking Spider-Verse is the multiverse, and
Yeah, and
Fantastic
then
Four
yeah,
is the
then and then the
multiverse.
Nothing
Sony
beats all
animated movies are a
multiverses.
Spider
Doctor
Verse.
Strange
It's
is the multiverse. Yeah, Venom is it's like it's it. They kind of fucked themselves with that, and I mean, this is way
because it's well,
not too off topic, but it's like it's like Deadpool 3 is gonna bomb.
yeah,
It's
well,
gonna
that's
suck ass because
it's
people.
all marketing driven, and according to like marketing money guy logic, the multiverse stuff is perfect because it lets you put whatever elements you want in whatever movie that you think are marketable. It lets you just
Exactly,
make your
and also
swamp water.
they kind of fuck themselves because it's like when everything is special, no one is kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's like Hugh Jackman is coming back for this movie. Like that's a pretty important get for what was like an indie comedy, uh, that was going to be scrapped.
And for a guy who was supposed to have been completely retired and officially killed off his character, which Deadpool 2 opens on a joke about.
Yeah, it's so much for Logan and saying
Well, yeah,
for sure, and the
but
big
it's
goodbye to that era of X-Men.
Yeah.
but
Now
I,
just
I
nothing
just mean in
ends.
the
Which
abstract.
retroactively
It's like
cheapens
Yeah.
Logan.
it's like getting Hugh Jackman back should be a big get, but it's like they got Spider-Man back, they got fucking Patrick Stewart back, they got Magneto back, they got
You can get
fucking Tom Cruise Iron Man,
anyone you want.
and the Flash and all these other things. So it's like no one's gonna care by the time it comes out because everything's already been thrown in they're gonna get completely numb to this shit. They're gonna
It's like if they brought Pierce Brosnan back as James Bond.
oh dude, we are 5 years away from
You know what?
not a
I wouldn't be
multiverse
surprised if they
James
try to pull that.
not a multiverse James Bond movie, but like all these movies actually took place in the same timeline kind of thing where
Hey,
they
Skyfall kind
Ooh.
of sort of tried to do that a little bit. I remember.
did they? I don't even remember.
It
I
had like
I
the
think
old car and you could briefly see the
oh
jetpack
yeah.
from one of the Sean Connery ones or something. And
I think I wouldn't. That's not even how you should go about that. Like making James Bond like a persona within the context of the movies could actually be interesting, especially if you like.
I mean that's been like
Is
ground
that not what they do?
the fan canon thing people
Yeah,
try to do to
I've
make
never
them all
watched a
fit
James
together.
Bond movie.
Not even
they're,
Goldeneye.
they're
No.
not
I
even the best
haven't.
one, To Live and Let Die.
No, I haven't.
My grandma's a huge James Bond fan. They're very grandma movies.
They are, yeah.
Uh,
They're.
Grandma movies. I could not
They
imagine my
are.
grandmother watching
I mean, they
James
are like
Bond.
most. Yeah, they're James Bond is like a much more meaningful character if you were like a kid in the '60s or '70s.
Yeah.
Where he,
Yeah, no, my grandma. Shout out my grandma, dude. She loves.
Shout out to your grandma.
Shout out to my grandma for real.
Don't insinuate to your grandma I said the naughty no word. No gamer word. Please don't. Mikhail, don't let that happen, please.
She loves James Bond, dude. Fucking that is yeah, like I haven't seen the newest one because specifically she was like, you better not watch that shit without me. So I'm gonna have to you guys have to get the Patreon up so I can fly my grandma out to watch James Bond.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know what? Something I also want to bring up about kind of going back to Deadpool 2, which I'd be remiss.
Oh yeah,
as the podcast is designated annoying bisexual person, not to point out that there's contentious debate on the internet and amongst fandoms of a Deadpool status as a bisexual icon ? because I guess they wrote a lot of like, and I'm not one to say like it's like throwing a stone at a gas house if I call it like juvenile gay jokes, because there's nothing
they
funnier.
just kind of have him groping Colossus.
But yeah, they're juvenile, like really like low bar, low brow.
I feel like they're not even
less
really
funny.
gay jokes exactly. They're just more
ham-fisted attempts to be like, look, he's into guys too, isn't he? Because I guess like a bunch of
I didn't even read
because
it
a bunch of like Tumblr queers were apparently mad that they didn't explicitly insinuate like that Deadpool's like canon bisexual or pansexual. Yeah, and like despite the fact there's like a pegging scene or an insinuated pegging scene in the first Deadpool.
If you care, okay, hold on. No, if you care whether or not Deadpool is gay,
go off, Queen. You should kill yourself.
I was really trying to think of something to say other than that, because that
you should kill yourself now.
And, like, come on,
grow
man.
up.
Like, how do you end up being one of these people that's like, oh man, I need Deadpool to be gay. I care so much if fucking Jughead is asexual. Like, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If this movie wanted to actually commit to having any like gay shit in it, we would have gotten a scene where Deadpool's getting like fisted cruising style. R.I.P. Billy Friedkin.
I don't think that we. I like it. I like when there's gay representation in movies. I don't want to see another man put a fist in another man's asshole.
I never got the appeal of fisting, no matter who's doing it to who. It seems unpleasant.
They could trust me. They could have. I'm gonna just say I don't give a shit whether or not Deadpool like. They made Deadpool pansexual in the car, bisexual or whatever, because it was like funny.
There's no difference between those two things, anyway.
Yeah, it's like funny to.
No,
it's funny.
There's no difference. Anyone who tells you is just a scold.
It's funny to say that like, haha, Deadpool like has had gay sex, or he would like marry a shark or something because he's
so epic and
demisexual or whatever. Yeah, it's like. It's a joke in and of itself, and I think that the movie sort of I don't know. I actually like when they do. I actually like when they do gay shit in the movie because it's very organic, where you can't tell if he's just like Miguel bleep this. You can't tell if he's just like or
can I Miguel bust out some fun stupid music, because I got a Tumblr screenshot someone had sent me that I completely forgot about, and it's real.
Hold on, I'm just saying, Nicole, before you read this, what you want is Greg Araki's Deadpool.
That would be sick as fuck, though. That would be so awesome.
Actually, Greg Araki, it's very funny because
not later.
Greg Araki has done done IP slop recently, but. Yes. What I did want to say, he did
Dahmer, I think.
Well, he did something else. He did something else. That's even more sort of podcast adjacent. But hold on, let me. I was gonna say, I think Greg Araki's X-Men would go insane. That would be awesome. Anyways, Greg Araki directed a couple episodes of Riverdale.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I'm gonna read a classic on the topic of the semantics between bisexual and pansexual, and you're gonna see why this is related. Anonymous said, "Is there a label that actually means attraction regardless of gender and doesn't have transphobic origins?" 783 Remade replied, "Yes, it's called bisexual." Maddie, 1896, wrote, Sorry, but that's not correct. Bisexual is attraction to both male and females, two genders, hence bi, like bicycle, for two wheels. Pansexual is attraction regardless of gender, including men, women, transgender, genderqueer, and literally anyone else. For pansexuality, it's about the person themselves, who they are on the inside more so than the outside. I say this as a pansexual woman who used to identify as bisexual until fully understanding the difference between the two. Not trying to start any arguments, but trying to help spread pansexual awareness. Some pansexual icons include Brendan Urie, Wayne Brady, Jessica Jones, and Deadpool. Anyways, this is how I learned Wayne Brady's pants.
Wayne Brady from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Wayne Brady is actually pansexual. He just came out.
Oh.
No one fucking cares that Jessica Jones is bisexual because no one's read a Jessica Jones comic. There's no Jessica Jones fans in the entire world. I know because I read her comic and it sucks
I like
ass.
her, but I haven't read the comic.
It's so bad.
I just want to Christian Ritter, really.
Christian Ritter is so hot. She's like Barbara Steele
instead of Kristen Ritter.
Young Barbara Steele.
Who? What?
Barbara Steele.
Barbara Steele?
From Black Sunday? The Baba,
I've never
Pit
seen
and
Black
Pendulum?
Sunday.
Shivers?
We got our own Sunday now?
One of the most beautiful women who's ever graced the screen.
Barbara Steele. Hold on a minute. I don't believe it.
Barbara Steele.
No, I think you're thinking
that with an E at the end?
Remington
Yeah, with an E at
Steele?
the end.
Is it Remington Steele or Lexington
She's
Steele?
not related to Remington Steele.
Oh, yeah. What's up? Yeah.
Which one's the porn star? Is it
Remington Steele?
Okay.
I'm shocked there wasn't a Remington Steele joke in Deadpool. Like, that feels like the sort of like internet-addled sort of. We should have wrote Deadpool too.
Who the fuck?
We should write a Deadpool movie. It would be so much funnier.
Yeah, why would they make a Remington Steele Hold on.
That was Pierce Brosnan, right? Before he played James Bond. That was like a TV show he was on. Was he a cop or a lawyer? Like,
no, it's a gay porn star.
No, Remington Steele was a TV show.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, fuck.
You're thinking of Lexington.
You're thinking of Lexington Steele.
God damn it, Nicole. I asked you if it's Remington Steele or Lexington Steele.
I didn't hear you.
No, dude, the meme male porn star for like a 30-something irony poisoned guy would be like Owen Gray or like James Dean or something.
Oh God, okay.
How do we know this many
man?
Oh yeah, Peter. I guess that one's. I'm thinking more like Owen Gray's more like Zillennial.
Oh God. Okay.
Seymour Butts. Remember Seymour Butts?
Seymour Butts.
How do I know so many names of male porn stars?
I don't. Well, Seymour Butts. Seymour Butts had like a docu. Seymour Butts had like a docu reality show that I used to watch when I was like 14, just because you'd see a titty here and there, where he was like a porn producer and ran a studio. And he had it was also like about him being a dad to his like 8-year-old kid. But then he also had his like sleazeball uncle who's just like going into the back rooms of porn shops so women can rub their fake tits on his face.
Huh.
Family Business on I think it was on Showtime. It was or something in like 2005.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like
I'm trying to. I guess there's also
not a lot to talk about with Deadpool.
We're trying to get. Really. I'm trying to get this train
hold
back.
On. I'm trying to remember
for an hour, so I think we're okay. We can probably.
Yeah, you should watch something else.
Watch something else.
There's a male porn star who has almost like the exact same name as the guy who plays the asshole coroner in Twin Peaks.
Oh shit!
It is one letter off.
Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah, there's a male porn star named Miguel Ferreira with an A at the end.
Ooh. There is, before we move on to watch something else, there is one more thing. I think I mentioned it just before we started recording, but someone did die for the making of this movie.
Yeah.
Domino's
for this fucking movie. That's
Domino's stunt double during the motorcycle, like the part where she's like riding the motorcycle during like that the in like fucking escape from the city ass chase sequence. Joy Harris, yeah, she died. Crashed, like she wasn't like a professional stunt performer. I think she was just like she had most of her experience from being like a pro motorcyclist. And she apparently wasn't wearing her helmet during the stunt. And allegedly the crew was also working up to like multiple 16-hour days in a row, being on set for like 12 to 13 hours.
That explains why the movie had a thing at the end of the credits that was like,
yeah, that was her.
50,000 jobs were created by this movie. And
well, like, they did like end the movie with like, you know, in the memory of, which is.
Oh no! At the very end of the credits, there's this note about how many
Wakanda forever.
There was a note about how many jobs the production of the movie created, because British Columbia, subsidizes Hollywood so goddamn hard. Us in New Zealand, and Atlanta,
go off
and
on
Georgia,
on the BC
and it's
industrial complex.
Fucking. Like I get that, like, you know, film industry is a big part of Vancouver. They want jobs, but like instead of just giving all of our fucking money to Hollywood for movies that already make $1 billion, what if we took that money, bypassed the middleman, and just spent it making our own movies and TV shows? That'd be kind of nice. Do our own shit, have our own goddamn culture. It might be cool instead of just more Marvel shit.
They should.
Would you put us in a movie?
Yeah, let's go to Canada. We're gonna make the fucking Marvelous movie. Marvelous and the Death of Cinema.
It's gonna be better than Kick-Assia. It's gonna be better than To Boldly Flee.
Well, I could absolutely make a better movie than any of the Channel Awesome people. Like, I don't doubt that for a second.
First of all, you take that back.
No, I can easily. We are
trying to get Linkara
with my T3i and this microphone taped to a hockey stick. I could make a better fucking movie.
We are trying to get Linkara on the show.
Linkara can be like the Orson Welles at like the end of the Muppet movie. Like we go walk into an office and instead of Orson Welles, it's Linkara. It turns around in the chair in the first notes of the
both of you in the Channel Awesome stuff. I don't get it.
I don't even watch Channel Awesome. I just give it to my sister.
If Linkara had a beard and was like tastefully gray and started walking with a cane, he would be so sick, dude.
Let's get Linkara as Orson Welles.
Doing the commercial read. He's arguing with the guy in the booth.
We should do a remake of Kick-Assia.
No, I don't want to do that.
Remake Kick-Assia with all the people on the server
with CGI and shit. we should do like the Day the Earth Stood Still remake, but for Kick-Assia, where it's just like
completely forgot that was a thing.
Dark.
Oh, my dad saw that.
I saw a clip
it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I saw a clip. This is how I knew it was ass. Was I saw a clip of it on YouTube. Has this like fake TikTok thing called like Shorts, and when I take a shit, I just swipe through them, and there was like a clip of that scene, or of that from that film, but with like epic like military funk music set to it. And I was like, yeah, this is probably like dog shit if they've got like a guy named like Kill Hunter Biden now, fucking Airsoft Fan 337 being like, this is actually the sickest film I've ever seen.
Yeah, I completely forgot they remade that.
We ready to watch something else?
Yeah, sure. I found watching this movie mostly just kind of exhausting. I mostly did not laugh, and I feel like I didn't have a lot to take away from it other than that Ryan Reynolds really thinks that Ryan Reynolds is super funny.
To me, this was like background noise. It wasn't like offensively bad, but
not offensively bad, just mostly tedious. Like I just saw every joke coming my way. And,
I got 2 monitors though, so a movie can never be that tedious. You know, I can always
I take if I'm watching a movie, unless it's like a movie I've seen 1,000 times, it's like I'm watching it, especially for the show. I'm taking notes, I'm paying attention.
I'm taking notes too, but you know, I got the fucking Fortnite open.
I'm a principled synesthete.
What do you mean?
Synesthesia. I've got synesthesia. Every time Deadpool appeared on screen, I tasted cherries.
I can go for some cherries right now.
All right. Well, I got 4
movies.
I'm gonna recommend. First one is we're talking about sequels. We're talking about movies that are super meta about their own intellectual properties and the marketability and commercialization
Barbie,
of
I'm
them.
lighting you on fire.
I'm not, baby. I'm not. Trust me. No, it's the crown jewel of they got away with it in terms of superior like meta sequel big budget franchise films. I'm talking about Gremlins 2.
You're talking about Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones?
No, I'm talking about Gremlins 2.
Gremlins. See that
Gremlins
that is
2 is
like
better than the first Gremlins.
Yeah, it is kind of like a similar type of movie with its meta jokes and everything, but it is actually good. It's just
it's fantastic.
Lamp shading, like there's nothing wrong. Like, okay, I want to actually approach this because I think about this a lot. Like, what makes this kind of thing work or not work? It's not pop culture references, not inherently bad. Quips are not inherently bad. Meta jokes are not inherently bad. Fourth wall breaking is not inherently bad. Lamp shading even not inherently bad. It's just these things have become cargo cult things that are included in movies just very hackily and artlessly. But they're not inherently bad. So I'm interested in, as we go, exploring what makes those things, when those things are good and when they're not, like what the contextual distinction is. Because I think it's a common failure of kind of popular film criticism to just go, a thing becomes too overdone and too badly done, just go, oh, the thing is bad. Like jump scares. For a while there, everything was, oh, jump scares are bad. And now there's like a backlash to that where it's like, oh, a slow burn atmosphere, the A24 slow horror movie is bad. Everything should just be like,
I gotta say,
Evil Dead 2, which I mean, I love, but every movie doesn't need to be that.
I gotta say, I love a good jump scare. The jump scare in Nope with the kids.
Oh, that one's great.
Oh,
that
yeah,
one,
no, there's
I broke my nail watching that.
It's just it's a tool, and it's as good as how it's used.
I shit myself during that.
That is an almost pee yourself moment.
I was like, oh god, wait, is this gonna be like a fucking like alien standoff movie? And then the best part about that scene is legitimately
I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good.
It is the least tense moment of that entire film.
It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect.
It's a sneak up on you.
Good.
It is a time and place thing, and there's and I feel like these things we talk about, these movies having, especially the Marvel movies and stuff, the problems they have, like I don't want to reduce it to just, oh, it's bad because it has meta jokes or whatever.
Okay, so I got 3 more movies.
Yeah.
So. All right. I mean, I think I recommended Nope like when it came out on the pod, but like, it is legit one of the best movies of the 21st century. Fight me. Second, better use of breaking the fourth wall and like meta jokes. It's a movie called Kamikaze Girls from, I forget the director's name, but he did a movie called Confessions, which I saw as a teenager, and I'd heard about Kamikaze Girls in like college, and I just never got around to watching it. It's delightful. It's about a small town girl who is really into like dressing in like, like Lolita, sort of like the fashion, not the fucking book, you sick perverts, even though that's not what the book is about.
The frilly, the dresses.
But, the frilly stuff. And she befriends like a teenage like girl delinquent gangster who runs with like a motorcycle gang, and it's delightful. It's so fun. Third movie is genuinely one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I can't believe I haven't mentioned it as an alternate pick yet. And it's also about a bunch of terrible people being turned into mutants with incredible makeup effects by Screaming Mad George, who we did the episode, the Heathers Society episode talked about. It's a movie called Freaked, which is directed by Alex Winter, who co-starred with Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted's Big Adventure. I may be going on a podcast in the future to talk about that movie. Stay tuned. But I think it's free on YouTube. I would, if you're listening to this, I would literally drop what you're doing right now and go watch that movie. It is so fucking funny. And the fourth one, I can now officially recommend it since I've watched it since whenever the last time I said on this podcast I hadn't watched it yet. I finally watched The Toxic Avenger. It's everything desperately that Deadpool wants to be, especially like they never commit to making Ryan Reynolds look too ugly.
Yeah,
Like,
no, he used to be way more fucked up looking.
He needs to look like I'm not asking for like Return of the Living Dead like Tar Man level of fucked up, but like he just looks like pockmarked. Really?
Yeah, he doesn't look fucked up enough. You know,
He
on
doesn't
that
look fucked
note,
up enough.
Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah. A gnarly ass fucking
There's a
tough as nails
horror
movie.
dark comedy that like
I'm
because
gonna
it's all about
defend
kind of
Deadpool looking not fucked up because that's how he's only supposed to look like he has cancer, like wildly unchecked
Well, you
cancer.
can get-
I
you can
remember
get
some
more
of the
creative
panels
with
from
that.
some of the books were gnarlier looking than they give them in this.
They still have to make them look like Ryan Reynolds.
He does sometimes push the like borderline start looking like a zombie, but you know.
I would love to see like Vanessa trying to shack up with a zombie.
For all there's so much potential for like real like body horror slapstick that I would like to see realized in the premise of like a guy who can heal from almost anything, and abuses it. And it's just you watch the movie and they don't do as nearly as much as you'd like, and is thoroughly committed. So yeah, on that note, yeah, Return of the Living Dead. Wayne's World, I think, is it's not R-rated, but it's kind of the same movie.
I'm trying to think of the connective tissue between
Wayne's World is one of the early examples of like a meta fourth wall breaking. Like there's a whole scene where it's like
you're right.
walk into a room with all those ninjas training. It's like, oh, I just always wanted to walk into a room full of commandos training, like in a James Bond movie.
Also directed by a woman.
Yes, Penelope Spheris.
Who did the trilogy? I haven't seen the rest of the movies in it, but The Decline of Western Civilization. I saw like the first one. That has what's her name? She was in. I think she was in X. But she's like showing off her like wall of like collected homophobic like religious pamphlets and brochures, and she's like got hiccups in the middle of it. And I felt so seen because that's literally me.
But yeah, and I mean, I don't know how much that movie works for you if you're younger and didn't grow up with it like I did. But I just feel like it's a much better execution of like the self-aware, parodical, fourth wall breaking meta comedy. And apropos of nothing, I just watched it recently and it's great. The Night of the Hunter, directed by Charles Laughton,
Robert
Mitchum. Oh, it's so good. It's such a good movie.
Man. Don't let him in my house. Between that and Cape Fear.
Beautiful movie. Like there's some amazing photography in that movie, image composition, just really wonderful stuff. Great movie. And I know I've said it 500 times before, but I just recently rewatched. No, The Venture Brothers. I mentioned it like.
Okay, I know. I should have. I saw the notes. I should have said. You did.
I rewatched the series because the movie came out, and that's probably the last of the Venture Brothers we'll ever get. With luck, that's not true, but that's just, it's like everything I complain about all these movies doing, the Venture Brothers does, but it does it right. It does it with enough like commitment to actual characters and personality. Like it's so driven by its two creators more so than it is trying to appease anyone else.
I was surprised watching that show. How it's like, first of all, watching that show recently, like I had never watched it at all, but I was like, holy shit, did I make this show? Like, it was a very strange feeling of like, this is perfect.
Because that's the thing, like most of this stuff isn't really made like by or for like the kind of people that read comic books or like science fiction or anything. It's made by hacks or people who like made indie dramas and are just getting their getting their clout in so they can make more indie dramas or whatever they want to do. When that's one of the big problems with it is that's one of the reasons it's never like weird enough or imaginative enough as like the source material is at its best or at least most interesting. And Venture Brothers is made by guys that are actually like that, but that have, you know, they have enough like self-awareness and sensibility and real like talent that they don't make something like Ready Player One instead.
The guys
they make something that actually has like good characters that are, even if it's in this kind of meta self-aware world, have like characterization and motivations and things that stand up above and apart from the pop culture references or the spoofs.
Yeah, the guys can, compared to that, the guys who wrote Deadpool 2 have also written beloved films such as G.I. Joe, Retaliation, Life, Six Underground, Spiderhead, and Ghosted, starring my husband Chris Evans and Anna de Armas.
I would not want to get sucked off by a spider.
Yeah, what the fuck is Spiderhead?
So even though I thought this movie was fine, my watch something else is just going to be watch that new John Wick movie. It's just the better. It's like it's so good.
Watch John Wick.
Just watch John Wick. 4 is the newest one, right?
Yeah,
it's unreal. It's
everyone I've met who has seen
he's
John Wick
and he's Wiccan.
Not described it as anything less than a revelation. So
I was yelling and screaming at certain points during that. I was fucking howling like I stubbed my toe at some of the stunts that they do at that movie.
Nicole, can we get your commitment to finally watch The Venture Brothers at some point? I know you would enjoy it if you gave it a shot.
I will. I will. I watched the first few episodes like years ago, but that was like back when I was like definitely still living with my mom.
And it doesn't like, I mean, not that the first season's bad, but like a lot of shows, it like, it doesn't really become what it is until it gets another season in where they kind of like find their footing, you know?
I think season 1 is really good. Season 2 is really good, but I don't like the storyline episodes as much in season 2. And then, oh man, to me, my favorite season was 4.
4 might be the best, but I like it all the way through. I
love it. The one needle drop during that season was one of my that was another moment where I was like,
they've got no budget for needle drops normally, so they have their one.
They have one needle drop, and maybe the entire show, and it's one of my favorite Britpop songs. It's Like a Friend by Pulp. It's also in
great song.
It's in this. It's awful. It's by the guy who made the third Harry Potter movie, as well as Children of Men. Oh fuck, what is his name?
Oh, that guy.
He did an adaptation of Great Expectations with
Alfonso Cuarón.
Thank you.
Oh man, and Pepper Potts. What is her actual? What is the
Gwyneth Paltrow?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Goop, and the Goop Queen,
and Robert De Niro. The movie is not great. It's about as good as this, so it's watchable. But the score is incredible. The score is great. It's got a lot of little like fucking Seinfeld era bangers.
So
all right, well.
Yeah, sorry, to close out this very digressive episode, but I mean, if you watch the movie, it's just right.
We're not doing anything the movie doesn't do.
Yeah, we're making a meta point about what it's like to watch a Deadpool movie. Exactly. Would you like to thank our patrons before we close?
Yes, I'm gonna thank our patrons from July 20th onward. So thank you to No Name, Petey W42, Sequartz, Dirk Strangler.
Her album just came out.
Whose?
No Name.
Oh, okay.
No,
it's a bit. Thank you to Dirk Strangler, the Licorice Kid, the Duke, Tavio, and coming in as of yesterday at the $3 tier, Dr. Crime.
Ooh, this dude, I fuck with this guy, dude. Dr. Crime shows up in the issue after the freak from up north, or the terrorizer from up north, or whatever the fuck that guy's name was.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's getting pretty late. We've got to go. That was our Deadpool 2 episode. We thank you so much for listening, for supporting us on Patreon, for joining the Discord. I'm going to travel back in time and record a better episode. I was Discord Stu.
Oh, this was good. I'm Nicole.
I think I'm gonna watch John Wick 4. I don't know who.
and you're Cole Netscape. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Directed by Alex Winter, who co-starred with Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted's Big Adventure. Bill and Ted's Big Adventure.